Hello. So in this class of cloud computing today we'll study here about the cloud computing storage. So storage basically refers that we're storing a huge amount of data that is being here maintained by the various data centers. So we will study here that what are the various storage devices, what are the various storage classes here for your cloud computing system. So as cloud storage is also is a kind of service, we can say that this cloud storage is a service that basically allows to save data on off-site storage system. So this is here basically a storage service which allows us to save a large amount of data on off-site storage system. Storage for your, or you can say that on your off-site storage system here. So this could be here managed by third party and it is made here accessible by a web service API. So the storage, whatever data you're storing here, that is here accessible or that can be here accessed by a web service API. Accessed by your web service API. So this is just simply the storage in your cloud computing system that is being offered here as a storage which could be managed by the third party and it can be made accessible with the web service application programming interface. Now after that we will study here that what are the various storage devices here which are used in your cloud computing system here. So next we have the storage devices here. So we have first of all the block storage devices here. The very first which we have here is your block storage devices. Now, block storage devices, that means here we will have blocks for storing the data here. So this block storage offers raw storage to the clients. First thing that it offers raw storage to the clients. That means this is a storage platform here. So this is basically divided, or we can say that it is partitioned here to create volume. So the very first step here for these devices, or we can say that the properties of the block storage devices is that first of all we are partitioning it to create volume. So that means we are creating volumes here. Now that means creating volumes, that means we have number of blocks. This complete platform will be divided into blocks here. So each block will act as an individual hard drive here. So we have blocks. Each block here act as a hard drive. Act as individual hard drive for storing the data here. And this, that means we are creating the volumes, we are creating here separate blocks. So these blocks are acting here as your hard drives. Now these hard drives here are configured by the storage administrator. It is here configured by storage administrator and it is here controlled by a server based operating system and it can be accessed by the fiber channel or ethernet. That means the medium here between This deployment here could be Ethernet, it could be a fiber channel here, and it is here controlled by the uh, server-based operating system. So this block storage devices, these work well here for storing the files and the various databases. So in this very first category, you have the block storage devices, which offers storage to the clients. How they're dividing the platform, what we're doing for storage, we're creating here certain volumes, certain blocks here which are acting as a hard drive here. Now, after your block storage devices, the next one which we have here is your file storage devices. Next is your file storage devices. Now, that means here we will be creating the files for storing the various databases here. So this file storage devices, this process here offers storage to the clients in the form of files. It offers storage to the clients in the form of files here. That means you are maintaining its own file system. This file storage device here is dividing into files and maintaining that file system. So it is here storing the data in hierarchical manner, in your hierarchical structure here. So the data which is saved here in files or your folders, that is presented to both the system storing and it will be retrieved in the same way. That means it will have a hierarchical manner here to store the various data in the files and it can be retrieved in the same way here. So it includes here your CIFS and your NFS. So your CIFS here is Common Internet File System. Common Internet File System, and your NFS here is Network File System. So two type of storage devices which we have here, the block storage devices and the file storage devices. It is storing here in the format of blocks, divided into blocks which are acting as your hard drives, and it is maintaining its own file system here. Now after your storage devices, next we have cloud storage classes. So the next topic in your cloud computing storage here is your cloud storage classes. So we have two different type of classes here: unmanaged cloud storage and managed cloud storage. So this is categorized here like this: unmanaged cloud storage class and managed cloud storage here. Now, the very first one which we have here is the unmanaged one. So it means that the storage here is pre-configured for the customer. The customer cannot format here, nor the consumer can install own file system or change the drive properties here. So that means this is here a pre-configured class, or it is here a pre-configured system, or more precisely the pre-configured storage here. That means the customer has to The customer cannot format here any of the properties, nor they can install here their own file systems, or they cannot change here the drive properties here. So this is a pre-configured system here, the very first class which we have in your cloud storage classes. Now the next one here which we have is the managed one. Now what happens? It offers online storage space on demand. This one offers online storage space on demand. So now this is an on demand service here. So that means it presents what the users want. It appears in that format, whatever the user wants, like a raw disk, and the user can partition according to its requirement, and it can format the properties of the drive here, because this is an on demand service. So it will be like a raw storage system. So that means the user can format and can change the properties of the drive here. So there are two classes of cloud storage. One is a pre-configured one, and other is your on demand, which is offering you the online storage space here. So now after the cloud storage class, the next one we have is creating cloud storage system. Next one which we have is cloud storage system here. Now what happens? The cloud storage system, we know that it is a distributed one. That means that the system here will store the multiple copies of data on multiple servers and multiple locations. That means this is a distributed system here, because what we have in this system, we have multiple copies of data on multiple servers at multiple locations. So that means this is a distributed service here. So that means if one system fails, if one of the system is failing, it only requires to change the pointer to another stored location, another stored object location. So that means if one of the system is failing, it doesn't mean that whole of the system will crash here. We can access it from some another server located at some another location. So if one of the system is crashing, what you can do, you just only require to change the pointer so that you can retrieve that information from some other server here. So for that purpose, the cloud provider here can use very storage virtualization softwares like your storage grid. So for a cloud storage system here, we can use the storage virtualization softwares. Storage virtualization softwares like your storage grid. So what would it do? The such kind of software, it will create virtualization layer that fetches storage from different storage devices into a single management system. So this will simply create here a virtualization layer that will be used here to fetch the storage from different storage devices to a one management system. So, and this one, it can also manage the data from your CIFS, from your Common Internet File System, and from your NFS, which is your Network File System here. So, this will create you're using like here storage grid, so you will have a grid virtualization layer. So it will fetch it from like your main site also, and it will have a backup site also, like this. And it can also fetch your data from SIFS and NFS. From any of the systems here. So for cloud storage system, you have the storage virtualization software, so which will create here such kind of layer, and which will fetch the data from these files from another system into this one complete management system here. Now after that, the last thing which we have for your cloud computing storage is the virtual storage containers. Virtual storage container. So virtual storage containers here basically offers high performance cloud storage systems. So that means these are here virtual containers for storing the data. So basically these here consist of an LNU, which is a logic unit number. So it basically decides here the number of devices, files and other objects which will be created here in your virtual storage container. That means this container here will have the number of files and other objects related to the storage here. So simply using a storage container, a storage administrator can now certain out, or he can separate out certain amount for storage. For example, in a particular organization, some storage device for the HR department and one for the finance department here. Or for example, you have another department, so it will have a certain amount of that storage for your flash, some of the storage amount here for the high spinning disk, some of the storage will have the ability to take the snapshot, etc. So that means if you have here like this, so it will be, you can partition out certain amounts for different tasks here, like for flash, some for high spinning disk, or some other here for snapshot. So you can, depending upon the organizational needs, you can certain out that amount here. Like you have user, application, then you have your system here. So this could be your application specific part here. For and here you can have another partitions like your storage and your pointer table here. This could be your application specific area and this could be the queries here. So basically in virtual storage containers, the performance for like your storage regarding systems is increased here because you can have a number of files and other objects which will be created in that particular container here, managing the complete system here. So this was just here about the cloud computing storage, that what are the various devices and how you can manage the cloud storage system here. So this is all here for today's class. Thank you so much.